everybody. I'm Caryn Hartglass, and you're listening to It's All About Food. Thank you for joining me. Today is one of those selfish programs where I'm sharing with you a conversation I'm about to have with my friend Fran Costigan. I'll tell you a little bit about her in case, for some strange reason, you don't know about the queen of vegan chocolate. Fran Costigan, culinary instructor, cookbook author, pastry chef, consultant, and director of vegan pastry at Rouxbe Culinary School, is internationally renowned as the authority on vegan desserts. Professionally trained, Fran was a chef in both traditional and vegan pastry kitchens before moving into teaching over 25 years ago. Her unapologetically luscious confections lack nothing except dairy, eggs, white sugar, and cholesterol. Fran's vegan desserts are appropriate for everyone who loves dessert, whether or not dietary restrictions are an issue. She developed and leads the 90-day Essential Vegan Desserts course at Rouxbe, the world's leading online culinary school, where she mentors international students at all skill levels, from beginners to professionals. Fran's cookbook, Vegan Chocolate Dessert, Unapologetically Luscious and Decadent Dairy-Free Desserts, is available in German, French, and Italian editions, and follows the classic More Great Good Dairy-Free Desserts. Fran's a native New Yorker, and she moved to Philadelphia. We might get into that in a moment, but I just want to say that when Fran lived in New York, she was always so busy doing all kinds of different projects. It was impossible, near impossible, to get together with her. And now that she lives in Philadelphia, it's even harder. So I have to invite her on a podcast in order to have a conversation with her. I'm teasing because we just had a conversation a few days ago, but it's a pleasure to see you. Gorgeous.
Aw, Caryn, I miss you.
I miss you.
And we did manage to get together. Not often, but when we did, we did.
Yeah, we even got together in California.
We did. How do you like that?
Yeah.
And I'm going to get you to Philly because I know
Oh, I need to get there.
Multi-talents, and one of them is your magnificent singing voice, and you're very interested in theater and
you have a lot
opera.
there.
And
Yeah.
we've got so much there. The building I moved to is right next door to the Academy. We're attached to the Academy of Music, which is the oldest opera house in the United States. You look great. You look great.
Thank you. It's my
hello to Gary for me.
Thank you. It's my Zoom. It's my filters on Zoom. Thank you.
Oh, well, yeah. Filters on Zoom. Here we are, another year or two or four older, but still eating vegan, plant-based, plant-forward, whatever it is called today. I always felt that this way of eating was more inclusive and expansive for me. You know, I changed my diet. So my bio says that I went into teaching about 25 years ago. It's probably more like 35.
Okay.
Ay. But I mean, I got grandkids in college. But the fact is, I was working as a traditional pastry chef. My stomach hurt all the time, but I grew up with stomach aches. So I'm like, oh, I have stomach aches.
Me too. Yeah.
Right. Many of us, we just accepted it. And then I happened to pick up a book called Food and Healing by Dr. Emery Colbin, the founder of the Natural Gourmet Institute. I was in California when I found that book. I'm like, I don't go to school. You know, I'm in New York. So I went, I registered for her Food and Healing course. And before that, as soon as I finished the book, I'm like, oh, it's the dairy. And I changed my diet thinking I'll give up dairy. I could never stomach milk anyway, but I gave up all animal foods. And then I just felt so good. And some of my culinary colleagues, because I was working at the time, said, oh, well, you can't call yourself a, cook or a chef anymore. Aren't you going to miss whatever? I said, there is so much more available to us. It was just very exciting. It was very exciting. And I never looked back because I came into this way of being for health reasons, but then you learn, right?
Right.
And I could not unlearn what I learned. What I learned about the animals, the environment, everything. and I have all this delicious seasonal food. So it wasn't my intention to do desserts, but my son, who was about 14 or 15 at the time, said, "You're not putting a candle in a sweet potato and telling me that's my birthday cake, Mom." And like he had a point. And at the time, all those years ago, we didn't have the choices we have today.
No.
Someone
Yeah.
handed me a carob cake. It was brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, carob's fine, but it's not chocolate. So
Right.
I set up a test kitchen, and then I, like boom, got this cake that my tasters, who were traditional eaters, like I call them. I think we're traditional eaters, but
Exactly.
um, they were like, "Oh,
They're
this
conventional eaters.
conventional." That is I'm going to use that because
Okay.
that's right. They just were like, "This is the best chocolate cake I ever had. This is the chocolate cake to live for." And you know, no odd ingredients, no additives, just
Good food.
good food. So I have something for you because I know
Oh,
you're gluten free. So, when I talk about desserts and people say, "Oh, I can't." This is a 2-bite gluten free fudgy brownie. It's got some prune puree in it. You don't taste the prune.
I
I know
love it.
you're a Francophile, and prunes and chocolate in France are very much a pair.
Hmm.
And so they taste great. Why not?
Can you send it through the screen here?
Yeah. That would be a miracle.
Right.
Someone will invent
It'll
it.
happen
It'll happen.
in this crazy world if anything
Yeah.
happens. I want to say I'm not 100% gluten free. I do eat organic einkorn flour. I
Oh, yeah.
find that
Very nice.
that's not a problem. And I think that it's probably has to do with glyphosate residue or something like that in conventional wheat. Conventional.
Yeah.
It's not even conventional in industrial wheat.
Industrial wheat. I hear that at this point, I have students all across the United States and in Europe, and it's very interesting to hear from one another. I know that in Europe, they go to Europe and they report back to me, "Well, I thought I was at least sensitive to gluten,
Right.
and I'm not over there." So I have found some local mills here
Mm.
that the difference is night and day in terms of how it's the processing, it's the what we do to our food. And at this point, with everything that's going on, I just told an egg eater friend of mine who believes that she has to have her egg for protein in the morning.
Hmm.
You better hold it for a while. They just recalled millions of eggs.
Oh, again.
Yeah, again.
Very nice. Well, do we even have to say cyclospora?
So there's a new outbreak, right? And it's completely unnamed now. They don't even, I mean, the lettuce outbreak is still going on, but now they said there's a new one and they have no idea.
Well, so you mentioned, and I thought it was a great segue, where there's all this processing going on. And so we have all of these huge corporations that are buying up farms, buying up small agricultural businesses, and then they end up putting everything in a big factory. When lettuce, like Mexican lettuce, is cleaned, it all goes into one giant vat soup. So if one little leaf is sick, all the other leaves share in that, and we are the winners of that process. And then
Yeah,
of course they're all cutting costs, and the real problem is not the lettuce. The real problem is probably not even the eggs. The real problem is the sanitation.
sanitation. And it breaks my heart to think about the work to pick in the fields is so unbearably, unethically difficult. And
Hmm.
so people are vilifying these Mexican workers. It's not them, it's the bosses. And I saw a chart where Taylor Farms, which has,
Yeah.
this is not their first rodeo with recalls, to say the least. But, they have like farm A through M, let's say. And then it all goes, as you said, into one batch and you don't know. And they were implicated. It's not Taco Bell that was the problem.
No.
They pulled it right away. It was this, they recognized something was going on. And then they went to the White House, and all of a sudden there was a false positive on this
Yeah.
leaf.
Yeah.
And you know, and our so-called government, if I can say, if I may say, they cut the agency that is the watchdog for these kind of outbreaks.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
I'm thinking of the three monkeys, you know, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no
Yeah,
evil.
that's
Yeah, but
right.
RFK Jr. has said the outbreak is under control.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yeah.
So
Even though
that's
we've had over 11,000 confirmed or probable cases reported to the CDC so far, compared with around 2,700 for the entire year of 2025. That's four times
four
greater. And
times.
we're not done with this year.
And we're not done. And that's probably very underreported. I support my farmers at the farmers markets here. There are three that I go to regularly.
Hmm.
And, you know, some people will say to me, oh, but it costs more money. Well, health is wealth.
Right.
I try to eat a little less because there should be enough food for everyone. And these farmers, these local farmers, were hit with weather this year that's unbelievable. You know, there's a big sign a month ago at the Rittenhouse Farmers Market that said our berry crop is smaller this year because we had this unseasonable cold spell at the wrong time, and then the unseasonal
Well,
hot
hot spell.
spell. And so there you go. When I visit my daughter in Bucks County, she's got raspberries.
Right.
You know? But for an event I did right after all the news about the cyclospora, I cooked my fruit. You know, I made a lovely compote. That's what I did, just to be safe.
Right. There are things you can do.
There are
I haven't been concerned because, like you, I'm buying locally sourced small farms that I haven't seen have a problem. But anybody could have a problem.
Anybody can have a problem. But you know, you talk to your farmers. I talk to the people at the markets. And one of the markets I go to, the one on Sunday, is called the Head House Market, and it's a place that's called the Shambles because the colonists used to tie up their horses there. It's so fun. But yeah, you talk to your, you know, I didn't know that as a New Yorker, I know where New Jersey is. I used to look at it out my window across the street, but I didn't know why it was called the Garden State because fruits and vegetables and local fruits and vegetables. And
there are some really lovely places in New Jersey, really
right.
beautiful, even though they have a bad reputation of being the armpit of New York. But there are some really amazing
Right.
beaches and
And we have,
parks
you know, we have vegan restaurants, many in Philadelphia. One newish one, the chef actually was an opening chef with Neil Harden at ABCV. Everything is, I mean, it's remarkable, but everything is labeled this farm, this farm, this
wow,
farm.
nice.
He ferments, he doesn't waste anything. And, you know, so you have to trust and you have to be smart. And I don't know, Caryn, what are you doing about letting people know? Well, this is one avenue, but I've been writing letters to our so-called government and signing petitions. I don't know. It feels dire.
Yes, well, what I'm doing is I'm breathing, always breathing.
Always breathing.
We breathe for a living. And trying to find joy and just trying to be as sensible as I can because there's only so much I can control.
Right.
But I eat raw lettuce every day.
Yeah.
We eat big salads here, and I'm not giving that up.
Same. People, some people, you know, you've got Gary. I live alone, although I have people in often. And I have a neighbor who is vegan. I have a neighbor across the hall who is not, but she's lactose intolerant. And she particularly loves my chocolate pudding. And every single time she says to me, let me know when you're doing a demo and you have some of that chocolate pudding.
Right?
And then she says, remember, I can't have dairy. So it was hard for her. People don't necessarily make the connection. And I am the friendly vegan. I'm not the food police. I lead with my food. Food should be delicious. I made a manicotti with a tofu ricotta and
Hmm.
tomato sauce and for meat eaters. And they said, oh, you're not vegan anymore.
Oh,
It was like really good. I don't
right.
usually eat vegan sausages, but I made sausages and peppers, familiar foods for people. And but when they come in and they see salad like this, they go, "Who's coming over?" I'm like, "That's
Right.
for me."
That's for me.
I love salad. I always have. Sometimes I have it for breakfast. I'm an oatmeal person,
Yeah,
but sometimes I have salad for breakfast.
definitely. Sometimes we make huge salads that we cannot finish. And so there's a little left for me in the morning for breakfast.
Yeah,
That
yummy,
works. Hmm.
yummy. My
Yummy.
mother didn't like to cook, and she wasn't a good cook except for salad. So in the summer, we ate. We had a small home on in Oceanside, Long Island,
Mm.
and we had a little plot, and there were cucumbers, and there was lettuce, and there was, corn. I remember corn. Like, wow, corn grows really high. So yeah, I'm looking at the cucumbers I got from the farmer's market. I love Kirby's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a nice crunchy thing.
right. But some of my particular farmers that I support have had fewer vegetables this
Yeah,
year
well,
because of the weather.
and that's a scary thing
Right.
because that's today and what's going to happen next
What's going to
year.
happen? Do you remember the movie Don't Look Up? I've
Of
been thinking
course.
about it a lot lately.
Yeah.
And that line where I think Leonardo DiCaprio says at the end, we had it good, didn't we?
Yeah. And then,
And that's what I think.
yeah, we don't want to recognize what's right in front of us.
Right. So when they're spraying these crops with chemicals, it's not only bad for the consumer, but these workers in the
Oh,
fields. Well, are they
let's
wearing hazmat suits?
they
Probably.
probably should be, but they're probably not. And I want to talk about those workers just to wrap up this cyclospora disaster. The this thing, this cyclospora comes only from human feces, and
Yes.
that's the nice way of putting it.
Right.
It doesn't have an animal reservoir. So uh it all goes back to human waste somehow getting into the water, soil, or hands involved in growing, washing, or packing that produce. Sounds disgusting. It is, but that's how it got there. Now, I don't want to blame the workers, but maybe they're not being given an opportunity to relieve themselves.
They
Maybe they're not
aren't.
given a break. Maybe
They
they're not given appropriate showers and sinks and things to wash it. I and some people want to point the finger at the people in the fields, the Mexicans, for example, that come over and people from other places. They are doing the hardest work and somehow they can manage the heat.
right.
Most people can't do that. These are amazing people that
That's
are
right.
doing this great work to bring food to our tables.
That's right.
And in this upside down world,
Yeah.
we don't give them the credit, the support, or the financial means
Right.
that they deserve.
I mean, in this AI world, I'm very careful about when I read anything, when I see anything, I question, is this real?
Hmm.
But they're the son of he was a supervisor in the fields picking Mexican, and he lobbied for better treatment for the workers. And by better treatment, I don't mean like a sauna or like a
Right.
hot lunch or even a lunch, but
Right.
sanitary conditions, bathroom breaks, soap and water. And he was fired for that
Mm.
and he died of cancer.
Oh.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. And there you have it.
And there you have it.
So if we're wondering how this cyclospora is getting around, it's right in front of our
Right.
faces or under our butts.
Right. So you and I can, we have the privilege of being able to shop at the farmers markets.
Mm-hmm.
There are
Exactly.
people who don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it's heartbreaking,
Yeah.
you know?
But also, I mean, you know this, but all the different brands that come under Taylor Farm, it's not just the least expensive supermarkets that are carrying this stuff. It's also the expensive, overpriced Whole Foods and other stores carrying organic lines.
That was so interesting to me because I wasn't surprised to learn that Taylor Farms, I've seen the Taylor Farms brand, but they're okay, they're Trader Joe's, they're Walmart. So whatever those that costs $2.99, and then in Whole Foods it's $8.99. It's the
Wow.
same. Whole Foods 365 brand
Mm-hmm.
is Taylor. Good and Gather
Yeah,
is
right. Is
Taylor.
Taylor. Yep.
Earthbound, which
Is
I didn't
Taylor,
know.
right?
Yeah. So I hope at least this will be raising some awareness for people. I hope.
Ideally, we go back to smaller companies, smaller farms, not these big conglomerate corporations with people at the top that are taking all the profit and screwing everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just our food.
You're right. I mean, so I'm looking out. I have a terrace now, so I can
Woo!
grow some things. I've got tomatoes and basil and rosemary and mint and all kinds of, and it's so nice to go out there and pick. Now, my daughter has lettuce growing, and a lot more things, although she said the lettuce is a little bitter this year because of the weather. The
Yeah.
fact is, I don't know, wasn't there a time during the war when people were told to grow their own food?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grow your own food. If you can, do it.
You can, if you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Woo!
So I don't know, Caryn. We have
So,
to keep being each one of us that has the ability to have some kind of platform, just let people know the truth and give them a solution, not just a problem.
yeah, the scary thing is with the internet and social media that there are so many people spouting so many different things. You don't know what to believe. I have a friend of mine who just sent me this Instagram video of this young woman who was vegan for 7 years and now she's not. And it showed all these different ailments that she had. And I don't know why he sent it to me, but I'm like, I don't know who this person is. I don't know. I don't even know if
Right.
I could believe it. But people are seeing that and saying, "Oh, here's my proof." Proof
How
of
about
what?
Banana Gate? There's
Oh,
some,
right.
right? Some
Yeah.
influencers saying, don't eat bananas. They are the anti
Yeah,
poly. I like, really? Who are these people?
yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. And often they cite a study that is very short with very few
Right.
people.
Right.
And I do this all the time. I vet a lot of programs for an organization so they decide whether they want to promote it or affiliate with whatever. And there's so much crap.
Yeah.
There's so much crap. I'm always going to the primary source. And sometimes there isn't. They just say something, or sometimes they say something and cite something, and what they said isn't supported in what they cite. There's all kinds
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah. Well, look at who our health person.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, no, it's very important for people to go to the study and see if the study is real and find one or two people that are, I follow. Well, when I was for several years, for many years, I had the privilege of being a cooking teacher at Rancho La Puerta Spa in Tecate, Mexico, and all of our
Mm.
produce, everything came from the organic garden. It was very organic and it was very in season. I've taught in a lot of places, but there you get a spreadsheet with what's going to be in the garden when you're
Mm.
there. And right after they reopened after COVID, there was an MD who was a guest. Her name is Dr. Suzanne Donovan. You can find her on Instagram, she's the chief of infectious diseases at UCLA Geffen. So she's trustworthy. She happens to be vegan. She
Oh,
happened to say,
right.
well,
Wow.
I'm not really surprised that she was very involved during the first Ebola outbreak. And she wasn't surprised about COVID. She said, animals.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I mean, all of our zoonotic diseases, they're
Zoonotic
zoonotic,
disease.
comes from animals, so many
Right.
of them.
So, she's somebody that I follow what she has to
Mm,
say. I trust you. You have to be super aware today. And my daughter is a scientist, and she said, Mom, when I say, you know what I read? This person said, who said, and show me the data and go
right.
back to the study. Oh,
Yep.
that study doesn't really exist.
Right.
Or that study was funded by, whomever, some big corporation.
But no, most people don't want to do that. They don't want to do the work. So you
Oh.
have to find somebody you trust. But very often people follow people who say what they like to hear.
What they want to hear. Right, right. And it's
Yeah.
become very easy to be an influencer.
Okay, let's jump.
Let's jump.
Let's jump to a really delightful story. I think it's delightful. You took a trip to the Provence, and I want to hear all about it.
Oh, well, I didn't take it yet. It's upcoming.
Oh, I thought it happened already.
No, I can't wait. So it's really interesting the way this came together. You got to be out there with your tribe finds you, you find your
Mm-hmm.
tribe. Kim G
Kim Giovacco.
has a vegan travel company, and I know her for years. And in addition to her trips all over the world, from Africa to Poland to Italy, she has never done France, but she has come to Philadelphia a couple of times. People, plant-based people, vegan people are very interested in Philly because there's always a waiting list. And she asked me, would I do a demo? And I said, sure, at my friend Alice's Cafe, Joy Cafe, and she'll do a vegan brunch
Mm.
and so on. And while last year, when we were talking afterwards, I said, hey, Tim, I really miss doing these vegan tours. Have you thought about Provence? And she said, well, I have, but it's not very vegan friendly. And I said, put a post-it note in there.
Mm-hmm.
I contacted a former student of mine who is Dutch and had been in big corporate, had a huge corporate job, left. And she's a triple or quadruple Rouxbe graduate. She did Essential Vegan Desserts, which is my course,
Mm.
Plant-Based Professional, Blue Zones, and maybe eCornell. And she lives in a little town in Provence called Viance. She now has a little apartment in Avignon, and she started a business called Picnic en Provence,
Mm-hmm.
all vegan.
Wow.
And she's doing really well. People like her food because it's good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I reached out to her and said, hey, what do you think? And she said, on it. And we built an itinerary that I think is mouthwatering.
Mm.
It's slightly off the beaten path. We're doing we're all going to meet in Nice. This trip sold out we got squeezed in 3 more seats. So it's 13 people. That's it.
Wow.
So it sold out in 36 hours. We're going to repeat it. We're going to do some other trips.
Great.
And very exciting. And
Yeah. I thought you went already. When are you going?
we're going in April. We're going in April.
Mm. Okay.
We had to move it because of some holidays, but we're probably going to repeat it next year in the fall. We're love the idea of the lavender fields, but it's very, very hot then, very overrun with tourists. And so that's what we're doing. And
very exciting.
yeah,
Well, I love the Provence. I lived there
I know.
as a vegan in the 90s.
Yeah.
It has changed a bit. People know what a vegan is now.
They do. She said they do. And Land and Monkeys from Paris opened in Nice, I think, or
Well, yeah.
Nice adjacent.
Nice is great.
Yeah.
There's a few restaurants there I went to
Right.
that I really loved.
We're staying in vegan hotels,
Mm-hmm.
but we have a home base that is, everybody has their own room
Nice. Wow.
and a big kitchen, and there are going to be food demos and market trips, of course, antique trips. There is a place called L'Atelier de Tofu. He's going to come and do a lecture. I'm
Wow.
very, very excited about it. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while.
Yeah.
And vegan travel is just booming. I mean, we want to travel and we don't want to worry about, oh, there's some orange segments on the buffet.
Yeah. I keep seeing so many great things in Great Britain that it's just like I got to go there. There's just so many of them. Hotels and restaurants, just amazing.
Yeah.
There was a great vegan bakery in Aix-en-Provence, but it closed a couple of years ago. They made croissant and just gorgeous pastries, but
Yeah.
it was a husband and wife team. The wife was pregnant, and he decided I'm just going to teach somewhere or something.
Yeah. It's hard work.
It's hard.
We're going to X.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. One of my former students she has since closed it, but she was conventionally trained before she became vegan trained in pastry. And her croissant won in a blind tasting from a
Wow.
French company in Miami, best croissant in Miami. Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
when I started, we didn't have the vegan butter that makes laminated dough
Mm-hmm.
work. I started, there was hydrogenated margarine, and I used to like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it smells.
Yeah. Of
Yeah. So this is not the way I eat on the regular. You know, I eat
course.
very simple, but being able to say to someone, yeah, you can have a birthday cake and it'll taste good. You can have a wedding cake. They're treats. Desserts are
Mm-hmm.
treats.
Keyword treats. I haven't
Yeah.
said that recently on this program, but I used to rage about it. And we have a serious problem all around the world where maybe not everywhere, because there are a lot of people that are living in great hardship, even in this country, but many people have a lot more than before.
Yes.
And they take advantage of that. And so many things are just not special. And that
Right.
includes food,
Right.
includes arts and movies and entertainment. I mean, we have so much, and so much is crap.
Right.
There's like no quality of anything, and we don't treat things with the respect that it deserves. Anyway,
Yeah.
if you're going to have a chocolate cake, it should be a special high quality treat, not every day at lunch.
Right. Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a big chunk. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all for smaller portions, fill out the plate with fruit, but make it delicious, and then it's a treat. I don't have chocolate cake every day.
You don't.
I mean, if I'm tired or cranky, I know what's in my freezer,
Right.
but I like a cookie. Give me a crunchy cookie, very small.
Mm,
It's like an exclamation point,
mm,
and
very good.
that's it. I always like cake more the European way, like as a thing with a cup of coffee or tea or something separate, not after my salad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I just wanted to share yesterday and today's adventure with food. Maybe you can comment a little on it. But I used to talk a lot on this show about making buckwheat crepes. It was one of my favorite things to make.
Mm.
I would take raw buckwheat groats and I'd blend them in the Vitamix, make my own flour, 1 cup, a little bit more liquid of water. It's just really easy to make. Mix it up, and I would put it in a pan and make crepes. They were just so easy.
Yum.
Um, but then I went SOS free, salt, oil, sugar free, and I got a nonstick pan that worked great for about a year, and now it's giving me a lot of trouble. So I'm like, I can't do these crepes. They're giving me headaches. And then Gary had this great idea of making a flatbread out of the same batter. So it's so much easier. Okay, it's not a crepe, but it works. And sometimes it works better. I've got all my favorite schmears I can put on my flatbreads. Anyway, I make a flatbread. It's easier because I don't have to stand there and flip.
Right.
And I sprinkle it with lots of nice seeds, and it's fun. Okay. And I order in bulk. I always order from Food to Live, which is in Brooklyn, their
Hmm.
warehouse. Okay. Somehow I ordered the wrong thing. And when I got it, I went, oh,
What did you order?
I ordered kasha. I ordered
Oh,
roasted
roasted.
buckwheat. It didn't say roasted anywhere, but it was darker and I knew. And I just opened it up and I grind my flour in the Vitamix and try to make a flatbread. And it was a disaster. Just didn't work. And it reminded me of when I was talking about these crepes and my friend Deo Robbins wanted to make them and she said it wasn't working. And so when I visited her, we used her flour and I think it was a toasted buckwheat flour. And I experienced the same problem I experienced yesterday. This flour just couldn't get enough water. It just kept
Right.
soaking up water and more water and water, and it just wouldn't come together. Anyway, I ended up saving all the crumbs from my flatbread, and I put it in a pot this morning with water and bananas, and became this wonderful cereal. There was sunflower seeds on it too when I was making the flatbread, so that kind of added in the mix, and it was delicious.
I bet.
It was just delicious.
I bet.
So I have a lot more of this buckwheat that, all right, I'm just going to have to make a lot more buckwheat cereal. You were talking about making oats, and we eat a lot of oats, but now I'm going to be eating more
Canadian
buckwheat for
buckwheat.
a while, and then I'll get
I,
the raw
when I was a
again.
kid, my, I ate kasha varnishkas,
Right, kasha
and
vanishkas.
that was the toasted buckwheat. It's a very interesting idea that all these changes, something that's raw, something that's dry roasted, something that's roasted a different way, make a difference. And this is something that I do a deep dive in
Mm,
the course
mm.
because people say, "Oh, flour." Well, or this didn't turn out like the recipe. Well, did you read? I have a whole thing. Did you read the recipe all the way through? Did you do a mise en place? Sometimes people say to me, "Well, I wanted to make your chocolate cake, but I don't use flour. I don't use blah, 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 blah." And my answer, and it wasn't good. My answer is no, it wouldn't be good because each of the ingredients has a purpose. Why don't you poach a pear, bake an apple? There are alternatives.
Yeah.
Okay. But the difference between an all purpose flour, a regenerative one, which is a thing now, one from my local miller, as
Mm,
opposed to Bob's, for example, they're all different. And it can be quite interesting and a little bit frustrating. So I always suggest you do a little test. You divide the recipe in half, maybe by a quarter, enough so that you can maintain the integrity of the dessert. If you're doing a cake and you have an idea or you're not sure,
mm.
so you'll make two cupcakes, but then you know what's going to happen. And then what you did, I say, remember the Kenny Rogers song, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. I
Yeah,
don't I don't like food waste. So I try
right.
like you to do something. I've made things that just weren't. I don't want to give somebody something that's not going to be delicious because that's like, what's
Mm-hmm.
the point? I don't think everything has to be a home run for me, but I'm not going to pass it out there. So I will take a cake or a cupcake or, a quick bread, a muffin that wasn't quite right
Mm,
and crumble it up dry, make crumbs, throw it on a fruit salad, make a crust
mm.
crust. That works really well. I mean, occasionally you have the happy surprise where it's like, and then I have to go back. What did I do? What did I do? What did
Yeah, I
I
want to
do
do this
to
again.
make
Yeah.
it so good? But just remember that there is a difference between raw
And
raw buckwheat
roasted.
and
Yeah.
roasted. And it doesn't seem like it would. Sometimes, even I use agar instead of animal gelatin, and I find it
Mm.
very stable, makes a beautifully stable gel. You just need to know how to use it. But it's a natural product. So it can vary. You do a test. I do a little test, you know, put the little bit of the gel or whatever I'm making in the fridge for a little while, 5 minutes, and you see, and you can adjust. Same thing with chocolate. If your recipe, it should tell you a percentage to use. If it says to use a 72 or an 80
Mm.
and you go and use a 55 to make a ganache, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. There are ways to fix things, but yeah, it's an interesting.
Yeah, I'm always making adjustments because I've got so many rules for myself.
Yeah,
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's just for me. So,
that's what I think. That's what I think. It's people say to me, "What? You don't think everything has to be like perfect? Like what's perfect? This is really edible. I like spices. I have, nice fresh
hmm.
love burlap and barrel spices, and I'm using more spices than I used to. Of course, you have to make sure that your spices are still fresh. Sniff them. But give me a tofu scramble. Give me a tofu scramble. It's like I love that's
Oh,
my
I love tofu so much. The latest thing I've been doing that's like crack to me is I like making summer rolls.
oh nice.
And it's very hard to find organic rice paper. At least I've had a hard time
It
finding
is.
it.
Yeah.
And I got some online from a company I don't want to mention, but it was the only place I could find it.
Okay. Well, that happens sometimes, and I get what you're saying.
And they were really hard to make because the paper was so beyond sticky.
Uh-huh.
And I kept adding less and less water, like 2 seconds, not even 30 seconds, nothing. But they're really, really sticky. So I'm trying to figure out how to play with it. I'm getting by. What I discovered is once I make the roll and I refrigerate them for like overnight, then they're perfect the next day.
Interesting. So it was just the rolling part that was
The roll, so you have to be patient and kind of get a trick. But um, I take tofu in long strips and squeeze lots of lime juice on them and then grill them. And I'm not using really oil, so
right. Yeah.
there's you could, but I don't. And and then lots of cilantro and fresh mint that I'm growing and grated carrots and some crunchy peanuts and some organic thin noodles and a lettuce leaf. Not Taylor
Ah,
Farms. Yeah. And the cilantro too.
right.
Local.
Sounds
And, oh
good.
my God, they're so good. And when you roll them up like that, and I made them really big and I refrigerated them, they're like sandwiches.
They are.
They're
They
just
are like
really
sandwiches.
so good.
One of my like someone said to me, "Is that your emergency meal?" I'm like, "No, that's just my fast meal." I batch cook because
Mm-hmm.
I get hungry. Sometimes I'm busier than other times, and I
Sure.
don't want to reach for crap. So I always have two kinds of beans in my fridge. I always have tofu and tempeh. I could eat tofu every day, but
Hmm.
I don't. I try to like vary things up, and I don't actually use oil on mine. I just like tofu.
Yeah. Just
So
like tofu.
I will quick air fry a piece or something with some nutritional yeast
Mm.
on it, or smoked paprika, or
Yep.
a little. I like umeboshi vinegar. I actually think lime makes everything taste better. So that's
Mm-hmm.
something I tell my students. So that was a little flat. You think that was a little flat tasting? Add some lime juice. And then I just take a piece of nori, a sheet of
Oh,
nori,
yeah.
and put the tofu in there,
Yeah.
sauerkraut, which I love sauerkraut, roll it up, and I've had a meal that's just,
Mm-hmm.
or a snack that's so satisfying to me. Yeah.
I like taking the nori and either wrapping it around tofu or around tempeh, and
Yeah.
then taking the rice paper and wrapping that around, and
Ooh.
then rolling it in some chopped seeds with spices and baking it. and it's like a fried chicken or a fried fish or something.
Oh, I would not have thought of that.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm going to do that because
Yeah.
I've got some, but with rice, there, you take rice flour, for example,
Mm.
there are tremendous differences. There's the brown rice flour behaves very differently from white rice flour, but then the very powdery white rice
Mm-hmm.
flour, um, that's a little harder to source. It's like baby powder. You can't necessarily make these things yourself. My Vitamix is very busy.
Right, mine
Very
too.
busy.
Very
But there are
busy.
some things that you can't quite do without
Sure.
a mechanical whatever. Like, I have a formula for making confectioner sugar, this much cane sugar, this much tapioca starch.
Mm-hmm.
Most organic cane sugar or vegan cane sugar, and it's usually one and the same, have tapioca instead of
Mm-hmm.
starch, which is a good idea
Mm-hmm.
because so much genetically modified cornstarch. But anyway, you can make it, but it's not going to be that like 10x or 50x or whatever. Since I use so little, it doesn't matter.
All right. So we're talking about how you follow a recipe. If you want the results, you got to follow it exactly. But I mean, there are people that write recipes and they haven't tested them and they don't know what they're talking about. So
Yeah.
those don't count. But when you're following Fran or somebody who's really reputable, you have to follow it. And if you don't, know that it may not work out. But you had a blog recently about how your oven is lying to
Oh,
you.
I had a good time writing that blog, but I just want to say, going back to the recipe thing, when I'm cooking savory food, I have a few savory recipes that I do follow the recipe
Mm-hmm.
mostly, but with desserts, there's a reason that things are written. And it drives me crazy when I see a recipe from somebody else that says, use cocoa powder. Well, cocoa is unsweetened, but there are two main kinds of cocoa powder. There's natural and alkalized, which is known
Mm-hmm.
as,
Dutch.
Dutched. And if you use the wrong one, if it's not specified, so you look to the leavening. If it's mostly baking soda, that's natural cocoa powder. These are things that recipe developers should really tell you. I made a cake from somebody else's book recently, though, and she's a food scientist. I trust her. It wasn't good, but it was good the next day. Head note, this cake
Huh.
is better tomorrow.
Huh. Like soup.
Like soup, which is another thing. Soup and salad. I love soup and salad. I love soup and salad. So yeah. So what was the question, Caryn?
Oven temperature.
Oven. So, this came because I get a lot of questions from my students. Once a month, I do a live event, and people say, well, my oven isn't baking right and whatever. The easiest thing, what you must do is put an oven thermometer in your oven. I renovated my kitchen 2 years ago,
Mm.
super happy here, and put in a new oven, and it does bake and convection bake and blah, 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 blah. Well, there's a difference, convection bake, you have to knock the temperature back, but every oven is different. A home oven should be about 25 degrees. It might be more. So first, I consulted with Rose Berenbaum Levy, who is Rose Levy Berenbaum, who is like, she wrote the Cake Bible, the Revised Cake Bible. She's written 14 cookbooks, Cookbook Hall of Fame and all that, about ovens. And she said, yeah, you need to. I said, I preheat my oven for a very long time. Do you? And she said, yes, like a half an hour. I didn't want to do
Wow.
that because it felt like a waste of energy, but you really need to. Then you put the oven thermometer in and you watch it. If you've set your oven for 350 Fahrenheit and you've got 375, yeah, knock it back and vice
Wow.
versa. And
Mm.
that's what you do. And the ovens are meant to cycle on and off. So one thing you want to do is the oven thermometer, and the other is maybe take a tray, I line with parchment. I don't use tinfoil.
Right.
And Sprinkle either some coconut, untoasted coconut, or slices of bread. Put it in your oven, and then you will see, oh, that side's darker. Oh, and you'll see where your
Right.
hot spots are, which is a reason for, they say, halfway through turn. I don't
Yeah.
halfway through turn. And it's very interesting to me also that, so I have this big oven, and then I've got this little thing behind me. And you have to be really good to get real estate in my kitchen. But there was no room for me to have two ovens here,
Hmm.
wall ovens. So I got this small Breville that also has bake, convection bake,
Mm.
dehydrate, whatever. I think that it bakes, I can bake a 9-inch layer in there,
Wow.
or a quarter sheet, half sheet pan, quarter sheet pan. And the cakes bake beautifully. And Rose said she said, because it's smaller, there's just, and then the other thing was, I had been taught that if you could have dual fuel, the ideal is to have a gas stove, an
Hmm.
electric oven. And no, the technicians say actually a gas oven is best. Well, I'm not doing gas. There's no gas in this building, and I'm not for, the big
Sure.
flames anymore. I don't think that's healthy. I think a lot of us in restaurants got like whack, not so good. I have an ordinary, I don't have a convection cooktop. I had cookware that meant a lot to me that I got bazillion years ago in France that still looks brand
Hmm.
new. And, like I didn't want to switch everything
So
out.
you didn't go induction.
I didn't, that's what I meant. I didn't go induction, but I don't even remember what it's called. It's like, it's black. It looks like induction.
Yeah.
Radiant, I think it's called. And
Sure.
it and it's fine. It's good. It's good. So there you have it. But the ovens, check your ovens if you want to, if your cakes aren't baking right or your cookies are burning over there and raw over here, it's your oven. Assuming you've tested your recipe, you've followed the recipe, and you picked a good recipe.
I need a better thermometer that I can see while I'm looking with the door closed.
Yeah. Well, they make them big
Really big.
now, really big.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay.
I do. That's what I do. Yeah. And then, you want it to take a day when you're practicing your singing or something or reading, and you test it on each rack, and also pay it, like the bottom rack of your oven, the lowest rack, that's where your pies set fastest. But if you put
Mm.
your cookies there, they're going to burn.
Mm.
Your
Even
cake,
with convection, the uniformity is not perfect.
it's not. And that's like a big myth. It's not at all, particularly the home ones. No, it's not. You have to pay attention.
But I like the idea of the small ovens. Maybe you get like four small ovens instead of one big
Maybe,
one.
maybe. I don't know.
Okay, but the idea of preheating an oven for a half hour in this weather, maybe
Well,
in the
yeah,
winter time.
yeah. Maybe don't do your test right now. I've been doing a lot of, no
Uh,
cook kind of desserts, or on top of the stove. I have I like to make grunts and slumps. That's one and the same thing, which is cooked fruit and a really quick one bowl soft biscuit batter that you plop on top,
mm,
and it steams, and it either the biscuits slump into the batter or they grunt
mm,
while they're cooking, and then you've got a dessert.
mm.
That's very fruit heavy. So yeah, that's something you can do.
Very nice, Fran. I don't want to let you go. I
Ah,
miss you and I want to just
I
give you a
miss
big
you
hug.
too.
I'm going to get to Philadelphia soon.
When the time is right, I will make sure we'll do it. Caryn, it has been a
You
pleasure to
have to
see
be
you.
there.
Of course I'll be there. That's why I'm saying pay attention.
Yeah.
We'll get our calendars together. I want to be there, and I'll let you know about Provence. I'll let you know when the next one happens. And I love you, and I love the work that you're doing. Your
I
podcasts are
love you
so
too.
interesting.
Thank you. Thank you
And
very much.
yeah,
Yeah.
We know each other a long time, a really long time. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. This has been the awesomest Fran Costigan, and you can visit her at francostigan.com. There's always juicy, delicious things going on there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, everybody, have a delicious week.